How are you anyway?
Good, good. Getting a bit cabin fever, but good.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, stuck in a one-bed flat. So
Yeah, you haven't got really a garden at home, have you? So you kind of...
there's like a communal garden outside, um, but it's been ridiculously windy, and because it's like there's no walls or anything to like block out the wind. So if you go sit out there, you just get like gale force wind. But as the wind's dying down, we're just going to go sit out on the grass and just be like, fuck it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, a bit like looking at a few people and like what their like setup is, I feel quite lucky that I've got that like patch of concrete, which is just like, it's nothing, but at least I can step outside my house without like having to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll crack on with this then now that we've got past all the fucking technical issues. Everything, like Facebook just being the weirdest thing. Like you boot it, it says allow microphone, allowed microphone. So now you're blocking the microphone. Right, great, fucking great. That's exactly what I mean. Exactly what I mean. But yeah, I mean, welcome to the podcast, Matt.
Yeah.
First virtual podcast, which I've had to do.
Yeah, I saw your latest one went up today from pre-social distancing.
Yeah, I've got. So I had. I mean, even before we went into lockdown, I had basically podcasts recorded, and I've got enough to last me till May.
Right.
Like first week of May is when my last pre-record is there, because I like at the start of the year I absolutely stacked him, and I was trying to avoid doing anyone who had been on before, essentially. And was just like pushing through getting every like new guest and all that kind of stuff. And so I'd absolutely stacked those, and I was obviously planning to do more and more recording in the last few weeks. But then obviously we went to lockdown, so no one could leave their houses. So now I'm like, oh, well, I guess this time I'll reach out to people I already know who have setups, have webcams and that kind of thing. So I can just like meander through, get through the isolation of it all.
That it is.
Oh, so you're not working at the minute?
No, I finished 2 weeks ago. I worked from home for a week.
Okay.
I was able to back up the server and bring that home on a like 6 split partition drive. So I dragged out a week's worth of work, and then the show I was finishing on, like it was finishing up. Even without this lockdown, I would have been done.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So it's not like they ended me because of lockdown. So I've had 2 weeks out of work now.
Dang.
And hopefully the BBC will follow me, where they sort of like hire you back and then put you on a leave of absence.
I mean, I feel like they're not going to do that. This seems like a bad idea.
They've said they would,
okay,
because it's basically a way of funneling this government job retention scheme.
Right, okay.
But they're not paying my wage. The government pays my wage through them, but I can't claim it without having a job.
Right.
I can't claim any benefits because I have too much money and Charlie's working.
Yeah.
And I'm not self-employed because I work short-term PAYE contracts.
Okay,
so
you're just like temp contracts. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I'm in that weird element where, like the BBC have said they'll follow me, but a lot of production companies are turning around and saying, oh, we're not going to do that anymore, because the government have changed their wording, but I don't know.
That's strange. I think it's weird, like, because like chatting to like a few people, like you met Brett and Charlotte at my birthday.
Yeah.
Obviously Brett works for me, but Charlotte's been furloughed, and hers was kind of like unexpected because most of her stuff was work from home anyway.
Right.
Like she did like a few days working from home, and then she does a few days at work, but then they've still gone for the whole furlough route because of getting in contact with other people like around the country has become like the hard part. But like, I mean, with yours, I guess if there's no one out filming, there's nothing to edit.
No, like unless you were on a show where you were in fine cuts, so production's fully wrapped, then people can work from home. But I was on the tail end of my job anyway, so Like, yeah, like I said, my contract would have finished even if none of this happened. I would have been out of work the past couple of weeks anyway.
Yeah.
So,
But how's
yeah.
London?
Yeah, it was getting pretty quiet. I was still going in to Soho 3 weeks ago. So even like a week or two, it was getting very dead, like really weird. And I've seen loads of videos in some of the edit groups of people having to go in to collect equipment
Okay.
into central London, and it's dead.
Yeah.
It's really weird. But like around here in Lewisham, you've got people who are just flagrantly breaking the rules, just like clearly meeting up with mates in the park. Like they're doing their daily exercise of walking around.
Yeah.
But clearly, like, you're not part of the same household.
Yeah.
You're a group of teenagers of every ethnicity you can imagine. Like, you're not from the same household unless you're from a giant foster house. Like, fuck off.
So the United Cause of Benetton family just going out to the park.
Yeah, it's like the fucking cast of Tracy Beaker out there.
Okay,
But it's
that's a reference and a half.
but it's been alright. It's mainly actually the fucking boomer generation.
Yeah.
Who you see, like, I'll go out I've started running again, my daily exercise, and they'll just take up the entire pavement.
Yeah.
Like 2 people just taking up the entire pavement, and then they'll give you a dodgy look as you start to draw close, and it's like, I'm hugging one side of the pavement, like, at least, or I'm going into the road to be like trying to avoid you, and they're just like, nah, yeah, like this is where I am, sort of thing. And it's just like, oh, fuck you.
The kind of feel, like the kind of thing with that is though, that you feel like you can stare them down and just be like, I mean, it's kind of like playing chicken with your health, whereas you're like, I'm probably going to survive this, guys.
The problem is Charlie's high risk because she's got asthma, so it's like I can't afford to get it because she might get it and then she's fucked. So it's like, fuck you, boomer. But no, it's been fairly right. Apparently there've been fights at the supermarket, which we've not seen.
Oh, so, yeah, like it's weird though. Like I think it was like the first week when everyone was like freaking out, and like, everyone's hoarding toilet paper and all that kind of shit, and it was getting crazy. I think I heard maybe 2 reports of bad interactions at supermarkets. Someone had a screaming fight over like a roll of toilet paper, and then I've seen a video from a friend who like someone got grabbed by the throat because they wouldn't let him in the supermarket because they were obviously doing like limited numbers. And so like some people freaking out there, but for the most part, I've been surprised, like pleasantly surprised, at how cordial everyone has been. Like it's been refreshing to kind of see, because you expect the worst in these situations. You expect everyone's going to freak out, and go out, start shooting people. I mean, like if you're in the, because the crazy thing in the US is like people just kept buying guns.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's lockdown, guys. So, I got to have more guns.
Yeah, like I heard people saying that they think burglaries are going to be like up.
Who's going to risk robbing someone when there's a virus?
Well, it's just more, everyone's at home.
Yeah.
So the whole rationale of like, I'll break in when they're out, it's like, no one's out. You're going to break in and be like, oh, hey, my bad. And just like...
It's going to be like post-lockdown. That's going to be prime burglary time. If we were going to rob someone, I'd be like, post-lockdown, that first week, no one's going to be out.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's going to be out. You're just going to be able to go to any house and just knock on the door and be like, all right, no one's in. Okay, we're going. I'm real happy, like, it's one of those charity callers have completely stopped. I'm getting no cold calls at my door at all, and it's fantastic.
So we don't get any. I think we've had Jehovah's Witnesses a couple of times.
Yeah.
Ring the buzzer for the apartment building. And then it's just annoying when someone lets them in and you're just like, oh no, they're going to knock on the door. And
just as soon as they knock on the door, just start coughing really loudly behind the door. Right. We're like, oh, I'm finding my keys.
If it's like post for like Charlie's had some Amazon deliveries or something like that, she'll literally just shout through the door like, thank you, leave it out there. And they'll be like, no, I've got to give it to you. And she's like, no, leave it on the floor. I'm not opening my door.
I don't know, like parcel wise, isn't been too bad. I delivered from DPD, and the guy was so chill about it. Like he knocked on my door, and then he instantly backed up to my gate. So like he let me open the door. He's like, "Cool. So I need to give you the parcel, but you to save you like signing for it, I'm just gonna put it by your feet, and I'm gonna take a picture of you with the parcel, and then we're gonna be good." And I was like, "All right." I mean, that's basically as good as me signing for it. You've basically got my profile.
Yeah, yeah. If anything, it's actually more reliable.
It's like, don't sign for things anymore. Just take photographs of people. And then it doesn't matter who it was. I have a picture of the guy who took the parcel. You know exactly who it is. You could go to your neighbors and be like, "Did you take my parcel?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "But I've got a picture. I got a picture."
Yeah,
Completely.
yeah.
I was trying to think, because I was like, thinking like, "Oh, what will we talk about, like podcast wise?" I was trying to think of what the best like pandemic film is. Like, because it's like, really, in reality, this pandemic, compared to what we see in films, is
Mhm.
boring. Like,
Yeah.
this is boring as shit. Like, the only film I could think which even slightly related to it was I Am Legend, but that was way more rampant, and then they were evacuating cities, and I was like, but all I could think was with the scenes where he's like going house to house and he's seeing like the setups. I'm like, that's okay, that's a lot similar. You're seeing a lot of that in like other people's houses where they're like, don't come in, writing on doors, leaving messages, like I said. I'm like, okay, that's kind of film. But yeah, like no media company has ever made a pandemic film about a casual virus.
Well, there's Contagion, Steven
Same.
Soderbergh.
I haven't seen Contagion.
Contagion's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. I mean, it's a virus that's far more deadly than COVID-19. It's actually like very contagious, death rate and all that sort of stuff is a lot worse. But that is literally, it's like something that started. I think in the film it's something like Southeast Asia. It
Okay.
was like a drop of monkey's blood or something like that, and it just spread. And it came into the US, and it's like I think it focuses on Matt Damon's character, and I think if I remember it correctly, it's like his daughter is patient zero for this town
All right.
or something like that. But it is literally like uh, there are people who are immune to it, I think. So
Uh,
there's a burden on them having to basically sort everything out for everyone because they're immune. Or you've got, I think it's called blindness, something like that, where it's like a disease, just people just go blind and nobody knows why. So they isolate all the blind people in a quarantine place, and it's got like Julianne Moore in it,
this sounds
and
like
it
an absolute nightmare.
well, it ends up being that this sort of like weird prison hierarchy ends up being developed of who has all the materials, and ends up being that someone fakes having the disease to get in there
Right.
to basically run the place because they were blind from birth, so they know how to live with blindness,
Okay.
sort of thing. But yeah, it's called something like blindness or sightless or something like that. I think it's done by like a Mexican director or something, but that's pretty good. I mean, that's an extreme one again, where
Yeah.
it's like
I think
people.
that's the thing, though, isn't it? Like, we obviously with films, you take it to the extreme, but yeah, just I don't know. It just seems this is so casual for something with such a dramatic name like pandemic, and obviously thousands of people are dying, and we're not going to make light of that in any way. But it's not like people are dropping in the street. Like,
No, no, it's not as dramatic as that.
yeah, it's like you're not seeing like live footage of someone coughing up blood in a supermarket and all that. It's like it's real. Maybe that's even like maybe that's the film. I'm waiting for the film of this. Like you can guarantee right now, and I'm saying this on Twitter. I feel like right now there is like thousands of terrible novels, screenplays being written about this pandemic.
Hmm.
The amount of like romantic fiction which is going to come out of this of people trapped in houses together having to self-isolate,
Oh God, I didn't even think about that.
like it's going to be so big, and then you're going to go to the cinema and it's going to be two people in a house for the entire film.
Hmm.
It'll be a rom-com. There'll be a rom-com. There's going to be a rom-com, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I know the BBC and the BFI were encouraging oh look, we're opening up submissions for writing something about this sort of thing, and it's like, no, no, it's gonna be boring as fuck. You're gonna have a rom-com, you're gonna have like a Rear Window,
Yeah,
Disturbia sort of like thriller going on as well.
definitely.
It
There's going to
it's
be a comedy. There's going to be some sort of comedy about lockdown. You know, you
yeah,
can have a non-lockdown comedy. There'll be a fantasy.
there'll be a coming of age.
Yeah, teenager trapped in a lockdown house, then
Yeah,
against the world. I think the teens have been the most like in a way I'm like as much as old people being trapped inside and like obviously being alone and all that kind of stuff. I feel real bad for teenagers right now. Like you think like you're 16 and it's
yeah.
summer and everyone's like, yeah, you can't leave the house. Like, all you're gonna want to do is leave the house. All you're gonna want to do is break the law and go see your friend.
Well, I keep seeing all that stuff where it's like, oh, you should be learning a new language or all that crap. And then I've seen the counter arguments to be like, well, you've got the time, but you don't have the mindset because of what's going on. But I haven't seen anything which is like, Kevin McAllister was alone in his house, and yet nobody's encouraging you to booby trap your house. It's like, this is the prime time to realize you've got enough time to think, what can I do with random miscellaneous crap that if somebody were to break in, I can cause serious bodily harm.
Shouldn't be encouraging education. We should be encouraging some sort of Rube Goldberg society where everyone's just setting up intricate mechanisms in the house and saying, yeah, so now if you enter my house, you open the door and you get served coffee. So what happens? It's there's a bunch of dominoes in my house, and now those have a use. DVD collection suddenly became very useful.
Hey,
Awesome.
DVD collection is always useful.
I'll tell you, I got rid of like, I think it must have been like 50, 60 DVDs.
Right.
I got really trimmed down my collection. There was like a few months back, just decided to go through my house and like get rid of stuff which I hadn't read, stuff which I hadn't like watched or anything like that, films which I just didn't really care about anymore, and decided to like really drop it out. So now I've only got like 3 bookcases of DVDs instead of like 3 bookcases and bits here and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, like I can't imagine you trimming down your DVD collection.
Well, I've got a finite amount of space here, like until we move and get more room.
Yeah.
So I I take a bunch home. I dump them in my parents' attic. They don't know that I do this. The amount of times that I've probably dumped about 70 odd DVDs.
Yeah.
And when I eventually get a bigger place, I'm probably going to grab them all and then probably trade them all in. Because
Yeah.
it's like, I've not missed those 70 films for about 2 years now.
Yeah. I think that was like the way I did it was I looked through and I was like, have I watched this in the last year?
Hmm.
Would I miss it if I didn't have it there? In the same way like books, I was like, I was just hoarding more and more books. And so, if I'm not reading it 3 years ago and I bought it 3 years ago,
Hmm.
am I even going to feel like I'm missing out if it's not there?
Yeah. Yeah. I probably should go through my film collection at some point. There are plenty that I bought purely to have it.
Yeah.
Like
I
I
mean,
was like, I need all the Marvel comic adaptations. So I even got like Elektra and
yeah.
the old Fantastic Four, and it's like, why? Why do I have those? But I need them in my Marvel collection. It's like, no, no, I don't. I really don't. But I don't think anyone would even accept them as trading anymore. Like, I'll give you a penny for that. It's like,
Yeah. And I think that's the problem, isn't it? Like, you're going to get to the end and go trade them in to CEX and you're going to make like 50p for like 50 DVDs and you come back at like 50p. I mean, with 50p, you can buy 50 DVDs at CEX. But, yeah. I think I had it clear out as well, just like, when we were at uni and you do that thing where you buy films because you should own that film?
yeah,
Yeah. I got rid of like a load of those. Just like ones which I bought, watched because you had to, because it was the thing to do, because it's like the film student thing. And I was like, yeah, no, get rid of like a bunch of things.
I have slowed down buying. Like, I rarely buy DVDs anymore. There was annoyingly when I left Lincoln and I moved back in with my parents, and I had nothing to fucking do at all at first. So every week I would go into town to see my sister, but beforehand I'll pop into CX, and I normally bought 2 or 3 DVDs a time.
Yeah.
And my time of living home with my parents for like 8 months before I moved to London, I probably bought about 100, 120 DVDs or something.
Jeez.
And it's like, I don't need half of those anymore at all. Like, yeah, like I upgraded my entire VHS collection to DVD. And some of them were like, I don't even like this film, but I just don't want it on VHS anymore.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's like I had to have it still. But
there's a real hoarding mentality there. I went through my VHSs. I've trimmed that down. Like, the problem is though, right? So I went through and I sorted out a nice box of VHSs, and then I haven't actually got rid of them. Because I'm in two minds of it. I'm like, right, okay, I can't give them to charity shops because charity shops throw them out.
all right.
They don't accept VHS anymore. So I'm like, okay,
Okay.
I give it to charity shops. I don't want to throw them in a landfill because they're all plastics. They'll never degrade. So I'm like, in my head, I'm trying to find a use for VHS, like a practical use for a VHS tape. And the only thing I could come up with was building birdhouses.
Okay.
I was like, they're plastic, waterproof, fully, like you could insulate it quite easily. And then, they're it's almost like Lego. So you could just block them. And then there's a little hole in the front, which you just pop out because you'll not have the tapes in it. And I was like, that is the only thing I could come up with. And until I get a better idea, I might just start making VHS birdhouses.
So how did you come out of this self-isolation? Well, I built VHS birdhouses and sold them on Etsy.
Not that there's worse existences. Worse things to do. I don't understand how people like it. I mean, obviously, there's the whole aspect of being stuck inside, but I'm really struggling with the concept of people being bored because I just don't feel it.
It can get a bit repetitive. Like I'm getting I sort of try and limit myself. Like Charlie is working from home, so she has a working day Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
So I can just escape to the bedroom and just stream some stuff in here. So I finished off Mr. Robot. I've just started Westworld again because I only watched the first season, so I'm rewatching that to catch up the latest stuff. But I'll limit myself to only like 2 episodes a day at most, sort of things. It's like,
yeah,
I don't want to just get bored of just either run out of content or get bored of streaming.
Yeah.
Like I've got to treat it as if it was like, oh, this is my lunch break at work, so I might watch an episode or 2 depending how busy it is. But
I'm trying to do a thing where I only essentially consume content which I haven't seen before.
Right.
So like, because my Netflix list was getting ridiculous, my Prime list was getting ridiculous, and then like obviously because I had this clearer, I found all the books which I'd had but I hadn't read. So I've just been going through and going, right, every TV show, apart from like occasional dips into shows which I know just on my lunch break, everything else needs to be brand new. Needs to be something I haven't seen. Needs to be something which I've been meaning to watch, regardless of mood. I'm sitting down and like forcing myself into watching these things. And I think I've like watched like 4 or 5 different series like through now. And found a few things which I'm just like, nah, I'm not too interested in that anymore. And just like cleared it out. But I've also I'm on like my 6th book in 3 weeks.
Right.
Because I'm just binging through books. And working from home, there's like so many gaps in between. I'm just like, oh, I'll read a chapter here and I'll read a chapter here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only rewatching season 1 of Westworld is the first thing that isn't new.
Yeah.
It's only because it was like, I've been meaning to watch season 2 for ages, absolutely ages. And of course, season 3 has just begun. We're about halfway through. And I was like, it's only 10 eps for a season. I can't be bothered to watch a recap that.
Yeah.
I watched El Camino, the Breaking Bad film, and I watched the season 1 to 5 Breaking Bad recap because I was like, I haven't got time to. This was before this was like start of the year, like January, and I was like, I haven't got the time to sit and watch 60 eps of Breaking Bad. So
Yeah.
I'll watch a recap. And because it was a recap not made for El Camino, like isn't somebody said this is everything you need to know for the film. It was just a general, here's season 1, 2, and 3, and it was like an hour-long recap.
Okay.
But it missed a whole chunk of stuff that is just background stuff that's good to know, that I was suddenly starting to remember as I was watching El Camino. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that relates to, right, yeah, of course, sort of thing. And I thought, I can't be bothered. There's no point watching a recap of Westworld that's going to take an hour to watch a thorough recap when there's only eps. Like, I might as well just rewatch the season.
10 days, you know.
Yeah. Like it's. I've got the time to do that, so let's just do that. But I am trying to watch. Like, I went through and watched. I realized I had a list of about 15 Netflix original films that I'd always been like, oh, I'll watch that, but Charlie's not interested in them, so I've got to watch them when she's not around. So I never had the time to do that. And if it was like, normally I would go to the cinema quite often because I've got like my limited pass. But if Charlie's not interested in the film, then she's not forced to come with me. I'm not forcing her to watch it as well. So I would go to the cinema all the time, but I wouldn't watch new content that much by myself at home.
Yeah.
So I went through, and there was like 12 or 15 odd films. Like, a lot of them were actually quite new releases, like Two Popes.
I watched the Two Popes. I wasn't really sure what I thought of it. Like, I got to the end.
I quite liked it. On my last job, my second assistant really liked it, but she just liked the idea of, basically she liked the mumblecore indie sort of genre, but didn't know what it was.
Okay.
Just like, it was really refreshing just to watch a film of two people talking, and it's just really interesting. And I'm like, that's a whole subgenre of indie films from like Gen X.
Yeah.
It's like, what? And I'm like, just watch the Before trilogy by Richard Linklater. Like, that is just two people talking for 90 minutes. Like,
have a huge conversation. Nothing happened.
It's called mumblecore. Just Google it. But she had never come across that sort of film before.
Yeah. I think my problem with it was, like, in a way, was maybe, like, I don't know. I felt maybe they tried too hard to make, I don't know, them seem like good people. In a way, like, obviously they put a bit of a slant on Hopkins' character to make him seem a bit greedy and self-indulgent and all that kind of stuff. But they really pushed that, like, whole saintly, like, ebb. And I think by the end of it, it was like, this almost just seems like an advert for Catholicism. Like,
Catholicism, wow.
Yeah, like, it's getting to that point where you were like, oh, you're just gonna bust out like finger guns at the end of it, just and it was like the whole, and I get it that was in a way like the message, because they were very different people, but at the same time I was just like, yeah, I feel like this is like almost conversion film. Like, it's like the kind of Christian film a Christian would want to make, but they couldn't.
Yeah. Do just need Buddy Christ to pop up.
This is the time to bring Buddy Christ back. This, like, could you imagine? Like, there's got to be, like, I feel like religion's going to see a huge resurgence because of this whole situation. It, like, you know, it's that kind of thing. People get into that bad situation, so what do? They turn to faith. They turn to, like, community and faith, and a lot of community has to be based in faith, because then people feel like there's actual reason to do it instead of just being a good person. And then, yeah, like, I feel like you could easily reboot Christianity right now.
Just forget all the atrocities we did. Just
yeah, like, this is the if there was ever a time for a rebranding, this is the time for the rebrand. Like, because they tried years ago to do like a gritty reboot where they went really hard against gays, and that didn't quite take. So now they could do a light reboot and do like a comedy. It could be like Ragnarok. They could do Christian Ragnarok. This is a rabbit hole and a half, but I'm just saying.
They certainly could. They certainly could. They could start it with just get Kevin Smith to bring Buddy Christ back. Apparently he's writing Clerks 3. Just have a load of Buddy Christ subtly in Clerks 3. There you go.
I watched fucking Tusk.
I've not seen Tusk yet. Is it actually like? I know everyone says it's shit. I know even Kevin Smith says it's shit.
Right.
But it's actually worth the watch.
So I feel like I'm biasing it
Right.
because I don't like the main actor.
Is it Justin Long? Is he the main actor?
I'm gonna do a quick phone search. I think it might be.
Because I know it's like Kevin Smith basically apologizes for making Tusk and Yoga Hosers, and I've not seen either of them.
Yeah, it's Justin Long. So I'm not a fan of Justin Long.
Right.
I don't know why. I think he's just got one of those faces I really want to slap. And that is kind of the point of his character in the film. He's meant to come across as like a massive douche. But because of that, I don't feel any sympathy for him at any point in the film. Like, it keeps getting worse and worse, and I'm just like, I do not care about your character. And I've seen him in other things and be like, I just do. You're the same guy. You're just the same guy in every. You're fucking Jack Black book shit. Like, and yeah, like I do not enjoy him. So like, I feel like I got a heavy bias. It is bad. If you saw it in CEX 50p and it was a B movie, you'd think it's amazing because of how bad it is. It's one of those, like, if you picked it up randomly and was like, oh, there's this terrible film called Tusk about a walrus, you'd be like, okay. And then you'd watch it and you'd be like, this is fucking awful. I need to show more people. But because you know it's made by Kevin Smith, and because you know what he's capable of, you kind of sat there at the end going, this is bad and he should be ashamed.
He should be ashamed of himself.
Should be. I mean, did you see he's got plans to make Moose Jaw? Moose Jaws is, I think, is like the thing. It's another one of those like conversations that I had on a podcast. Basically, it's Jaws with moose.
Right.
So basically, moose start attacking people somewhere in Canada because he's now got this obsession with Canada and horror for some reason. I don't know where it's come from, but yeah, it's like there's been a whole thing recently about it. Like, he wants to make Moose Jaw, which it'll just end up like Tusk.
Well, hopefully I'll get put on the back burner. Like, yeah, he's got plenty going on. He's doing the He-Man thing at the moment.
What's the He-Man thing?
He's Netflix are doing, I think, an animation series.
All right.
And he's like, I think he's like the showrunner for it.
Yeah.
And I think they've got like Mark Hamill and Sarah Michelle Gellar and a few others like as the voice cast. They announced it not too long ago.
Okay. I haven't seen it, but I saw the thing recently about Kevin Smith and Disney. Like, there's a thing the Disney Plus series which never got off the ground or something like that.
Yeah, Kingdom something or other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, I thought that could be. I've seen a bunch of the stuff TV he's directed, but it's so entwined because it's always the CW Arrowverse,
right?
It's like Supergirl and the Flash and stuff like that. But because he's only ever done like the odd one dotted throughout a season, like the only way you can clearly tell it's Kevin Smith is because either Harlequin or Jason Mewes appears in it.
Right.
And then it's like, it's a Kevin Smith episode because there's Jason Mewes or Harlequin Smith. Like,
where's the cameo? Cameo's coming.
yeah. But I mean, but them shows are so showrunner led, entwined with each other that you can't really, and they've got a formula that you can't really discern.
Yeah.
Every now and then you get the odd episode where you can tell the director really pushed the boat to be like, no, I'm doing one where they're on lockdown, so it's a horror sort of thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, them shows are so indistinguishable episode to episode.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see him do a whole series that is his work. Like, he's the showrunner sort of thing.
Yeah. What I was going to say. So like the random thing about Tusk is like, you're watching it, so obviously I didn't know who was in it.
Right.
At all. Like, I didn't know who was playing the main guy, didn't know who was playing like the villain, any of that. I knew Kevin Smiths Tusk was in it because he'd posted about it like continuously for like a year. But halfway through, there was a cameo for a character actor, and I was just like, holy shit. And it's fucking Johnny Depp's in it.
In Tusk,
He's in Tusk.
because he's in Yoga Hoses as well.
Yeah, he's in Tusk. I was just like,
What does he play in Tusk?
he's this like, I want to say like investigator. So essentially, like they go out to find more information on like the villain or track him down and that kind of thing. And then he's like this French Canadian investigator who goes, and then there's a really long classic Kevin Smith like monologue interview scene, like Chasing Amy esque, sitting in a diner, like it's that whole setup, usual thing. And yeah, and I was like sat watching it for a while. I was like, I couldn't tell it was him because he's under that heavier makeup, and I was like, hang on a minute, this guy looks almost enough like Johnny Depp in costume, and then
Right.
that's fucking Johnny Depp.
Well, he's in Yoga Hoses as well.
Okay,
Because I think Harley Quinn and Johnny Depp's daughter are friends.
that must be, maybe she's the other girl then.
Because in Yoga Hoses, Harley Quinn and Johnny Depp's daughter are the two leads.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, because they're convenience workers in Tusk.
They're convenience workers in Yoga
Yeah,
Hoses.
so I imagine that's the crossover point, and yeah,
Yeah.
that would explain why Johnny Depp's in it. But like, yeah, unexpected. Like, it's just like watching this film casually, and it's like, hang on a minute, fucking Johnny Depp.
If you watch Jay and Silent Bob reboot, that's just full of cameos.
I haven't seen it. I was really like me and Sean at work. We'd seen it advertised, got like all amped up. Sean was still having a go at me because I keep saying that the original Jay and Silent Bob doesn't hold up. Like the film just does not hold up. Like I've rewatched it, it doesn't hold up.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Clerks, Mallrats.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, it is like.
It just does not hold up, man. It's too slapstick. Like, but yeah, we were having that usual debate, and then we were trying to find where we could watch it because first off, the release date seemed to change at random. The UK release date, and they were trying to figure out where we could watch it, and only one place was playing it, which was in Cleethorpes.
Of all places.
Of all places, like Nottingham wasn't showing it, Sheffield wasn't showing it. You know, you like all these cities, nowhere was showing it. Cleethorpes, random cinema, there, like they decided to show it, and we couldn't go see it because it was like 6 p.m. on a weekday. It takes us like what 2.5 hours to record a podcast, which takes an hour, right? Yeah, you know, it's these issues. I do like I do think like, I mean in a way these issues illustrate a good like. Oh my god, my phone's vibrating. Give me a sec, so you're not like. Just like the whole idea of like what's made this whole situation more bearable is the fact that we've had all this technology. Like I was saying to someone, like if this had been, 6 years ago during uni, trying to do any of this with the initial version of Facebook and the initial version of like fucking MySpace or whatever the hell we were using back then. There was no Snapchat, none of this existed. And we were just kind of like, oh, but staying in contact has been so easy, even despite like technical issues like we've had today. It's really opened up like the stream. I think it's made it so much easier, at least more bearable. I mean, like we've been able to do this today. It's like video calling is not something I regularly do, but during this I found myself doing it fairly regularly. Like just giving people that a familiar face to get used to, and see like outside of four walls, different backgrounds and stuff like that. I think it's been real useful. But I think we'll round this out because I'm using my 4G and my internet connection's gonna come to an end any minute. But it's been nice to talk to you, Matt, and have a ramble. Yeah. I mean, this isn't gonna go up till May, so who knows what situation we'll be in by then. Maybe this will just be like a callback. This will be a callback to a nicer time when everyone wasn't dead.
we started like looking at the start of the podcast and we were like, they were saying this wasn't that bad, and then it was like, oh no, it was terrible. It got way worse. Yeah. It'll steadily deteriorate, or we'll have got full cabin fever and like be going slightly more insane, and the podcast will get more ridiculous. But we'll see. We'll see. Cool. I shall talk to you later, then, Matt. Thank you very much, and I will call that there. Talk to you later. Bye.